Joining me right now is former senior advisor to the Clintons, Stagwell Group president and managing partner, and the author of the new book, Microtrends Squared, Mark Penn. Mark, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning.
I got to congratulate you on this op-ed you wrote for The Hill the other day, Mark. I really was blown away by it. I thought it was terrific and very fair that you wrote on the bias at the top of the law enforcement agencies. You write this: they were the leadership of the FBI, the CIA, and the Director of National Intelligence under President Obama. Each day it becomes clearer that they are the real abusers of power in this drama, as these deep staters turn into paid talking heads profiting through books, speeches, and clicks. You continue to write, they undermine any notion that they acted professionally instead of politically while in office. Thank you for that op-ed, Mark. It was very fair. What do you think these memos reveal?
Well, I think that they indicate more of the same. I mean, why is he doing these memos, and what is it in these memos that really pointed to an independent counsel in the first place? Why are we spending millions of dollars on years of investigations, and Comey is making millions of dollars by profiteering off a handful of meetings? I mean, I had over 400 meetings with the president. He seemed to have met the president a couple of times. You know, there's nothing in here that justifies the investigation that subsequently followed. He expresses, you know, the president concern about Flynn. Quite the opposite. And frankly, Comey does more defending of McCabe as an honorable person than the president does of Flynn. It's really puzzling how this investigation got started in the first place.
Dagan, you know what also is also interesting to me? All of this negative talk about President Trump is exactly what Mark Penn writes in his op-ed. Mark, you write, it impeaches Comey's fitness to have ever held a high nonpartisan office. Here you are so biased about the president. This is impeaching your fitness to be nonpartisan.
And Mark, my favorite line from all of these memos was when Jim Comey was recounting a meeting with the president. Comey, in trying to essentially sell himself, which is what this man is about, selling himself in his book, but sell himself to stay on as FBI director. He told the president, I don't do sneaky things, I don't link, I don't do weasel moves.
Yeah, right.
That is the laugh of the century.
Well, but I think the best line is he says you can fire me at any time. Well, the president did.
Oh, perfect. I'll use this opportunity.
He did, and now there's a special counsel investigation about Russia collusion that, as you pointed out, the Americans are paying millions upon millions of dollars for.
Yeah, look, I think it's incredible. And so if there's nothing here, and I think the Republicans are going after the underlying FISA materials, and there doesn't seem to be much there, then this thing now has become 1998 all over again, where the center of this is about Stormy Daniels.
Yeah.
Which is really to drag the whole country down.
And then to go and raid his lawyer, Michael Cohen's house, office, hotel room, because they're looking for a sex tape. I mean, honestly, wow. Meanwhile, there's this. Mark, we got to get your take on the Justice Department Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, has issued a criminal referral to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington related to the fired FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. So this is the IG report which found McCabe lied to federal investigators about the FBI's Clinton Foundation probe. What do you think will happen here?
Well, I think everyone will be surprised if something does happen based on the record so far of the Justice Department. You got to read this report. This is the most meticulous government report I have ever read. He documents every minute how McCabe spoke to the person in the Justice Department who spoke to the reporter before and after and clearly supervised it. And then not only that, but the IG has McCabe on tape lying. And I don't understand that McCabe, just like Comey, comes out with sort of political talking points that he's going to go sue the president now, when an ironclad case. He should be contrite, looking to get out of this thing, you know, and it seems to me that they think they can get away with anything. So I'll be surprised if something happens, but this report is a blockbuster of precision.
It is. I tweeted it out so that all my followers could actually read it. And by the way, you know who else should be contrite? Jim Comey. Okay? He leaked information to his friend who was a professor, and now he's acting all, oh yeah, he's this choir boy. I don't get this book tour at all. I'll tell you.
Mark, McCabe's lawyer says we are confident that unless there is inappropriate pressure from high levels of the administration, the U.S. Attorney's Office will conclude that it should decline to prosecute. What is he talking about here? It seems like he's insinuating the only way this goes forward is if the president or the administration does something inappropriate. Is that what he's saying here?
Oh, yes, that's exactly what the attorney is saying. They always try to bring in that it's Trump's fault. This is clearly an inspector general report done honestly and fairly. He has found every element of this crime. He's put together the evidence in a way that I've never seen done. You look at the report from the 13 intelligence agencies, and it's a joke compared to this report. And I don't understand how people think they can get away with this by running for political cover and defiance instead of showing contrition.
It's incredible.
Doesn't make sense.
No, Andy McCabe got no cover from Jim Comey, though.
No.
Jim Comey, again, they're both saying that one another lied. But I pointed this out earlier. In that IG report, the most telling line is that no other senior FBI official corroborated Andy McCabe's testimony. He said that FBI executive leadership, people generally knew that he'd authorized that disclosure to the Wall Street Journal. That is not the case, and nobody interviewed in that IG report backs it up. But yet the Washington Post ran an op-ed from him and his wife about how they're being persecuted by President Trump.
Right, right.
Give me a big fat break.
And then everybody tried to get on the bandwagon of it's about, forget it. I'm not even going to go there with the op-eds from the McCabes. Yeah.
Look, I didn't like this in '98. I don't like it now. You know, we've really gotten the country off track. It seems to me that the deep staters were behind what's happening here. And rather than make millions of dollars, I think they're going to have to pay a price.
People on both sides of the aisle are seeing that increasingly. Mark, thank you. Mark Penn, good to see you, sir.